The first step for the Mary Sanderson costume that I'm going to do is the skirt. Skirt's pretty basic. First thing that I'm doing is I'm cutting out a width of fabric for the waistband. Typical rule of thumb is that you kind of estimate how thick you want the waistband to be and then add an extra ½ inch and then double that so that you have enough to fold over. So it's going to look about like this in one layer. We're going to fold it and it'll be stitched along the open edge to the base, the bulk of the skirt. This is just to cover over whatever pleating that you do, and it's where you'll attach any fasteners that you're going to use, usually like a hook and eye. The next thing that you want to do is measure how long you want the skirt to be, and I'll just cut swatches in the length that I need. So the best way to do that is to get a tape measure. Measure from your natural waist to however long you want it to be. So if you want it floor length, measure all the way to the ground. Make sure when you're measuring for your skirt that you're wearing the shoes that you're going to wear when you're wearing the costume. Okay, to recap what we've done so far, we took the 2 panels of the fabric that we cut out and we've stitched them together. So I'm showing you the wrong side. I have the skirt turned out so that it's right side out, and hopefully you can kind of see we actually have what looks like a giant circle. So the next stage in making the skirt is going to be to pleat the waist. What you should do for this step, you have well in excess of what you'll need for your waistline, and measure your own waist. Measure the place where you intend to wear the skirt. So you take the length of the waistband of the skirt, take your waistband, subtract the 2 so you have the amount of difference in length. Then you know how much space you have to reduce on the skirt's waistband, if that makes any sense. I finished pleating the skirt. I don't know if you can see, but I just did folds along the edge and I pinned them. And then once you have it to the length that you need, and I would suggest measure, remeasure, then run a stitch over the top of the pleats to secure them in place. So I've done the initial attachment of the waistband to the skirt. I'll show you from the inside first. Here is the slit in the side of the skirt that we made for opening and closing. Here is the waistband fabric, and this is the skirt. So you can see I've attached the waistband probably about ½ inch from the top of the skirt, right sides facing each other, and then just run a seam all the way around. So it's attached all the way around, and I left a little bit of overhang on either end, and that's to allow for us to fold it under to keep that raw edge from being exposed. So once you've gotten the facing piece attached, you're going to turn the waistband up over the edge of the top of the skirt. You're going to fold it, and you can kind of eyeball this to make the waistband as wide as you want. About 1 inch is usually what I'll do for a waistband. Once you have it folded over so it's nice clean at the top, you're going to go to the inside and you're going to fold the inside edge under. So again, you're just keeping those raw edges from being exposed. The ends you're going to fold in so that you are actually stitching closed those folded edges. So you're going to run a stitch here and then you're going to stitch around the inside. 2 options for finishing the waistband, depending on how clean you want it to be. If it's something where you're worried about how it's going to look from the outside, if you're wearing a short shirt that's going to show the waistband, I recommend just taking needle and thread and hand stitching this closed on the inside. It doesn't take that long. Put a movie on and you can just kind of zone out while you do it. If you're not concerned about how the front's going to look, if you're wearing a shirt that's going to cover it up, take it back to the machine. Pin this so that you have it where you want it, and I would recommend probably want to stitch from the outside. So what I mean by that is have the outside edge facing you on the sewing machine as you're sewing it. That way, if you get bob and throw up, it's on the inside of the waistband and it's not as visible. And then once you're done with that, you're going to put whatever closing mechanisms you want on there, hook and eye or whatever. For this skirt, because it's not for me and I'm not exactly sure how big the waistband needs to be, I'm just going to finish it and I'm going to leave it without anything, and we're going to safety pin this thing closed. And this is the finished product. This is the waistband. It's all done. I did a hand stitch on the inside, so I'm going to show you up close. It's just a simple whip stitch. Like I said, fold under the raw edge at either end of the waistband and then stitch those together. And then on the inside, I folded it under an equal amount, and with the plaid it's nice because you have a line to kind of gauge to keep it even. And I used the line that I'd used for sewing the pleats in place to guide where I stitched the waistband to, so it's fairly even all the way around. So there it is, draped onto the back of the chair. I have opted not to hem the ends. If you're making a skirt that you're planning on wearing more than once, I would recommend folding under and hemming the edge. Since this is just for a costume, and plus if it comes unraveled a little bit, it may look a little bit more old, which you gotta think, Sanderson sisters, 200 years, more than that. They're old, so their clothes should be old too. So to recap, for making the skirt, the first thing you'll do is cut out your panels. About 3 panels for this type of skirt where it's relatively flat. The panels just need to be measured to be the length that you need from waist to floor, however long you want the panel to be. Make sure you allow for the amount that's going to be under the waistband and for whatever amount you're going to hem. Once you have your panels cut out, you're going to run stitches along the side to connect them so that they're one giant circle. Make sure that if you have printed fabric that you are doing right side against right side, so that when you turn it right side out, that you don't have any of your panels backwards. Leave yourself a little bit of a gap on one of the seams so that you have that overlap for fastening the skirt. Then you're going to measure your waist, measure the length of the skirt along the waistband, take up the difference with pleats. Once you've pleated it, secure it with a stitch, then attach your waistband. And that's all there is to it. It's really not that complicated if you're looking for a first-time sewing project and you want one that you don't need a pattern for. This is not a bad idea. Don't waste your money on a pattern for a skirt if it's something like this. It's really, really simple to just do it yourself. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it made sense to you. Please feel free to like or share, comment below if you have any questions. I will be happy to try to help.